How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer. People dislike me because I am not completely like them.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
this the end? There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? I'm burning in the stone. Nothing's too high. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final scene. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place too high. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the early edition of The Cult today. What a crazy day we have ahead of us. What a crazy day. And it's starting out in, honestly, one of the most odd ways, which is Lauren Chen is testifying in front of Canadian Parliament today. And this is going to be the first time that we have heard from Lauren Chen since she got outed as kind of a Russian spy. Obviously, I'm being facetious when I say that Lauren Chen's a Russian spy. Lauren Chen was running an organization called Tenet Media. Tenet Media allegedly took money from the Russian government, although it's kind of unclear about why exactly or what they achieved from it. And then Lauren Chen was summarily canceled by everyone and has been silent for a long time. And I think it's a real shame because I adore Lauren Chen. I think Lauren Chen was one of the real ones. I think if Lauren Chen had not been sticking up for Nick Fuentes and had not been questioning the actions of Israel, then the entire conservative establishment would have rallied around Lauren Chen and they would have said, this is really unfair and she is innocent until proven guilty. And no one's proven her guilty and no one has even subpoenaed her or indicted. Well, I mean, she's been subpoenaed now, I guess, but like no one has indicted her for anything. But no, because Lauren Chen stuck up for Nick Fuentes and because Lauren Chen dared to question Israel, the entire conservative establishment just said, because Merrick Garland's Justice Department indicted Lauren Chen, she must, or not, she didn't even get indicted. Because an accusation was made about Lauren Chen, she must be guilty. See, I love conservatives like this that are all like, we believe in innocent until proven guilty until someone is questioning Israel, and then they are obviously guilty, especially when they're indicted, when they're accused by Merrick Garland in the Biden White House. We think that everyone is innocent and deserves a fair trial except if they're questioning Israel. And by the way, if Lauren Chen was funded by Israel, if Lauren Chen took money from Israel's government, there wouldn't be no problem. And let's just all admit that. Can we be adults here? Can we admit that? If Lauren Chen took money from Israel, this would not be a problem. Andino tweeted this out yesterday. Lauren Chen has been subpoenaed to testify to the Canadian House of Commons on November 5th at 11 a.m. It's almost 11 a.m. over her alleged involvement with Russian funding for the now closed Tenet Media. This would be the first time the Canadian conservative commentator is obligated to respond publicly to the matter since the DOJ indictment against two Russian nationals was unsealed in September. And so we are going to be watching that. And it's on this fancy website hosted by the Canadian Parliament. It has not yet started, but when it does start, we will be watching that. As we get into our coverage for today, guys, just as a reminder, I will not be doing a 5 p.m. stream because at 5 p.m. I am going to an early anniversary dinner with my husband. Because in addition to Lauren Chen testifying today, in addition to the presidential election being today, it is also my 13-year wedding anniversary. For real. Remember the 5th of November. And so I will be going at 5 p.m. for an early dinner with my husband, and I'm going to have some martinis. And I'm going to come back, and I'm probably going to be maybe not drunk, but I'm definitely going to be buzzed. And we are going to be starting our live election coverage tonight around 7:30, 8 o'clock, something like that. Really kind of like when I get home, honestly. I don't know exactly how long. I don't think we're going to be out to dinner forever or anything. I'm going to be drinking tonight. I'm going to be giving people, like you guys get to dictate how drunk I get tonight. And it could get really drunk based on however much money you guys want to give me. And so we're going to be starting our election spectacular tonight around 7:30, 8 p.m. And everyone's welcome to come join and hang out. And yeah, I think we're pretty effed either way. And, as long as we're effed, we may as well be effed together. We may as well enjoy this moment together for what it's worth. Also, as a reminder, guys, right now in the Unwoke Art Store, which is my amazing merch store on the internet, the best anti-communist merch store on the internet, I think I'm not gonna say where we're going to dinner live on the internet. Do you know how many psychos follow me? We are going somewhere very nice for dinner where there will be food consumed and very nice martinis. You can head over to the Unwoke Art Store where currently I am doing a road trip sale because starting on Saturday, I'm going for a week-long road trip. If you want to fund my content road trip, and in return, I will make even more content for you and I will make more of a fool of myself, please feel free to head over to the Unwoke Art Store where to fund my road trip. All orders over $100 on everything in the store are 15% off for the remainder until I get back from my road trip. So that's going to be at least a week and a half. So you have until a week and a half to fund my road trip. You get some cool merch, including our Marxism is Evil yard sign. We've got Marxism is Evil merch, hoodies, t-shirts, hats. We've got our road trip special t-shirts, which are just kind of like fun designs that I made. We've got our anti-communist merch, filled with anti-communist merch, all in the store. Lots of great stuff. Perfect time to stock up for Christmas gifts. If you're looking for a Christmas gift for the anti-communist in your life, you will find the perfect Christmas gift in the Unwoke Art Store. And look at that yard sign. Come on. It's awesome. All right, let's see what's going on here. It says not started yet. We are still waiting for this here meeting to get started. So welcome, everyone. Please make sure you have mounted the like button if you have not already. We are waiting on the Canadian Parliament today. They are taking their sweet time. Welcome to everyone watching on YouTube, Rumble, X. Please make sure you have mounted the like button for me. Mounting the like button lets YouTube know to actually recommend my content to more people, which would be pretty great. Also, make sure you are subscribed. I do stream Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. normally. And we do socialism Saturdays on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Cheers, Carlin. Seeing you on that Libertarian Circle jerk the other night was like seeing my favorite teacher on the stripper pole. Thanks, Drew. Thanks for that. I will be voting for Nick Fuentes for president today. I'm not joking about that. After we get done this testimony, I'm going to vote, and I will be voting for Nick Fuentes for president. I'm not sure exactly who I'm voting for vice president yet. I'm gonna allow the moment to move me. I will not be voting for Donald Trump. I don't care how many people beg and control and plead and all this stuff. I'm not going to do it. I do not support him. I do not like the direction it's going in, and I'm not going to do it. And people can have all the feelings they want about that. I don't really care. The only candidate that I really care about seeing win tonight is Lily Tang Williams out of New Hampshire. Sadly, while I do live in New Hampshire, I do not live in Lily Tang Williams' district. So I will sadly not be able to vote for her. But I will be voting for Lily Tang Williams in my heart of hearts. And I hope anyone that happens to live in Lily Tang Williams district, which is CD2, I hope that in New Hampshire, I hope that you guys vote for Lily Tang Williams. There is no one more deserving of ending up in Congress than Lily Tang Williams. I know a lot of people have just gotten introduced to her recently with her going viral, but I've known Lily for 4 years, and she is over 4 years now. I think she's an amazing woman, and I just adore her, and I'm so happy for her, and I will probably cry if Lily Tang Williams wins. Like, that's how, honestly, it would be one of those moments of actually seeing someone who deserves something get the thing that they've been working towards, and I just would be really moved by it. Why isn't it started yet? The Canadian Parliament holding us up. Holding us up. It is Eastern. Andy No said it was Eastern time. I'm pretty sure the other thing said Eastern time. Well, hang on. Let me just click on this. Let's see. I mean, I'm assuming they mean Eastern time. Just waiting for them to get started. Hopefully they get started. "13th anniversary is lace. Dainty lace. So delicate and lovely, just like the balance of a steady marriage." I like that, Judy. I like that. I like that. All right, let's get a poll in the chat. 1 in the chat if you are on Lauren Chen's side. 2 in the chat if you are not on Lauren Chen's side. 3 in the chat if you're ambivalent. Does anyone have strong opinions? 1 in the chat if you are on Lauren Chen's side. 2 in the chat if you are not on Lauren Chen's side. 3 in the chat if you are ambivalent. Yeah, they're running on Canada time. Come on, start the meeting. Start the meet. I hope this is actually in Eastern time zone. Does anyone know where they actually are? They're in Ontario. Is Ontario in Eastern time zone? Did Andy No fuck us over? Because Andy No says this is at Eastern time, but is it at Eastern time? Is it at Eastern time, though? Here's my question. Is it actually at Eastern time, or is it... What time zone is Ontario in? Are they seriously on Western time? Do we have to come back later? Central... Okay. Ontario is... Okay. Okay, Donald is in Toronto, so we're gonna take Donald's word for it. So I'd be like, no, no. We're waiting, Canada. Yes, well, and this is exactly my position. Well, first of all, my position is, again, I said it at the beginning. If Lauren Chen was taking money from the Israeli government, no one would care. They have not charged her with anything and presented zero proof of anything. Yes, I did give Victor his gift. Victor got... Okay, Victor's 2 favorite things in the world are knives and watches. He has a knife collection and he has a watch collection. And so I got him this case that has special slots made for both knives and watches, and so he can display his knives and watches in the same case beside each other. I was like, it combines his 2 favorite things in the world into one thing. And he appreciated it. And he is getting me... My gift didn't come in. My gift got delayed, but he's getting me this really cool, like, beer stein thing. It's just, like, it's really cool. Like, and I'm honestly really excited about it. Listen, Victor has more than enough Legos. Sometimes I need to get him a gift that's not Legos, okay? Legos are taking over my house. Star Wars Legos have taken over my house. At some point, we need to branch out and buy other gifts. Come on, start the meeting. This isn't fair. Leave it to Canada. Leave it to Canada. Hi, Heidi, the most famous lesbian in America. Yes! Okay, hang on. Starting. Entertainment starting. Everyone mount the like button, please. I'll turn my volume down. Sounds like their volume's gonna be soft. Yeah, they're probably doing a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are on the ancestral lands of the Wada Yada 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 Shamalama Ding Dong tribe. Well, they're in Canada, Dan.
I call this meeting to order.
Okay, everyone quiet.
Welcome to meeting number 128 of the House of Commons Standing
I'm
Committee
turning my mic down. You
on
can turn your
Public
volume up.
Safety and National Security. Today's meeting is taking place in a hybrid format. I would like to remind participants of the
I
following
wonder
points.
if they'll say a boot.
Please wait until I recognize you by name before speaking. All comments should be addressed through the chair. Members, please raise your hand if you wish to speak, whether participating in person or via Zoom. The clerk and I will manage the speaking order as best we can.
A.
Pursuant to Standing Order 108 Sub 2 and the motion adopted on September 19th, 2024, the committee resumes its study of Russian interference and disinformation campaigns in Canada. I would now like to welcome our witness today, Ms. Lauren Chen. Welcome. I inform the committee members that the witness is
Lauren
accompanied
does
today by her
not
legal
look
counsel,
happy.
Mr. David Anber, currently
poor
online
Lauren.
via Zoom. The
We
House
love
of
you,
Commons
Lauren.
Procedure and Practice says
We love you. Don't
witnesses
let
appearing
them get
before
you
committee may be
down.
assisted by counsel, but they must see committee's permission. When permitted by committee members counsel when permitted by committee members is restricted to an advisory role and may neither ask questions nor reply on the witness's behalf. Therefore, I would like
Courage, Lauren.
to
We love
request the
you.
committee's permission for legal counsel to attend the meeting without the opportunity to intervene or speak on the witness's behalf. Is the committee in agreement? Yes. Also, I'd like to specify that the testimony of our witness is protected by parliamentary privilege. The House of Commons Procedure and Practice states the following. Witnesses appearing before the committee enjoy the same freedom of speech and protection from arrest and molestation as do members of parliament. I now invite Ms. Chen to make an opening statement of up to 5 minutes. Please go ahead, Ms. Chen.
Seeing as how my lawyer is not going to be able to speak, we do request that this opening statement, which we have also submitted in writing, be filed as an exhibit to speak for itself.
Is the committee in agreement with this? Yes? Okay. Very well. Go ahead. Did you wish to
Honorable
make...
members of this...
Go ahead. Sorry.
No problem. I'll read it here. Honorable members of this committee and clerk of the committee, LaRose, I am here today as required by the summons delivered to me. My understanding is you wish to ask me questions about a subject you are studying with a view of making recommendations as part of your legislative role. My understanding is that the subject you are studying is, quote, Russian interference and disinformation campaigns in Canada, end quote. In principle, I have no issue testifying before your committee. However, as you know, Canada and the United States are democratic countries that value civil rights. One right, which is particularly important, is the presumption of innocence and its companion right to remain silent. Both Canada and the United States strongly value the right to be free from self-incrimination. Presently, I am a target of a criminal investigation in the case of the United States v. Kalashnikov, 24 CR 519 at Southern District, New York, 2024. As such, I am entitled to certain protections given to me under the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution, which provides that I cannot be forced to potentially incriminate myself while testifying under oath. After consulting with counsel, both in Canada and the United States, I have concluded on their advice that answering questions from this committee could reasonably provide a, quote, link in the chain toward a possible indictment against me with respect to the above-mentioned or related proceedings.
Just taking
I
the
recognize that the difficulty is that the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution does not apply in Canada. I am aware that I have no right to plead the Fifth before this committee. I've been advised, and I do believe, the one policy reason behind Canada's lack of protection, similar to the American Fifth Amendment, is that Canada has a different form of protection located within Section 13 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which provides that if I testify in proceedings, I have the right not to have any incriminating evidence so given to be used to incriminate me in other proceedings, subject to exceptions that would not apply here. This is how the American protection against self-incrimination is not formally recognized in Canada. However, Section 13 of the Charter is not formally recognized in the United States. and so it would not be of assistance to me should I accede to answering any questions. Accordingly, it is with the above considerations in mind that I must indicate that I will not answer any questions posed to me once I appear before this committee. I note in taking this position that Section
Boo. Okay, it's
7
probably
of
for
the
the
Charter
best.
of Rights and
But
Freedoms
boo.
protects me in situations where Section 13 does not apply, where life, liberty, or security interests are at stake. Considering the investigation taking place in respect of Kalashnikov, I verily believe that my refusal to answer questions is lawful and protected under Section 7 of the Charter. I also assert respectfully that in the relatively unique circumstances in which I find myself, Section 2D of the Canadian Bill of Rights, SC 1960 C44, as well as the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, to which Canada is a signatory, protect my refusal to testify. Please note that my refusal is contingent solely on my legitimate concerns about possible self-incrimination. Once the investigation has been completed and it is determined that there may be no future proceedings taken against me in
Guys,
respect
she's
of that
saying
or
she has
related
the same
matters,
protections in
I wish that
Canada.
this
You have to
honorable
listen
committee
to
be
what she's
aware that I
saying.
would be willing to reattend before it and answer all questions on such issues.
Thank you. We'll start our first round with Ms. Dancho. 6 minutes, please.
Thanks, Naruto. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chen, Ms. Chen, for being here with us today. Although I'll note that you did not necessarily come willingly, you were summoned. And I appreciate your opening testimony, but you've outlined to this committee that you've come here and you won't be answering any of our questions. It's quite frustrating for us as committee members to have a witness here for 2 hours who refuses to answer any questions. And of course, you've been called here, as you outlined, in line with the Russian disinformation study that we're currently engaging, and notably because of your involvement in the indictment from the Department of Justice in the United States. And so I've gone through this indictment at length, and I'm deeply concerned about any involvement you and your company, Tenet Media, have had. And I have a number of questions for you. So I hope that you may answer some of them and
She's just gonna sit
really
there
service
and
the
get
Canadian
questions
institutions
peppered at her.
that you're here for.
Oh, this is gonna be a
I would
painful
just
day for
remind you
Lauren
that this
Chen.
is a committee of parliament. We are members of parliament at this table. You've been rightfully summoned. And it is your
This is gonna be a
obligation,
hard
and
day.
under my belief and the belief of our committee, that you should be answering these questions. That is the duty that you have to the Canadian institutions that you are here today. That we all work hard. We serve this committee. This is the Public Safety and National Security Committee of Canada. So I'd urge you to reconsider answering our questions. This is a very serious matter that you have engaged in, or allegedly through this indictment. And again, I'd ask that you respectfully engage in a dialogue with us today and answer our questions. So there are a number of issues in here that I'd like to go over with you. But of course, first and foremost, I'd like to ask you, were you directly receiving payments from Russia today to proliferate the propaganda from the Russian government to your North American audience?
For the reasons outlined in my opening statement, I have no comment.
Ms. Chen, again,
Oh,
I'd
this is
ask you
gonna be
to
a hard day
reconsider
for
the
her.
allegations in this
She's
indictment
gonna say
are
the
very
same thing
serious,
over and
your
over and
reach
over
is
again.
quite far. And so I'd ask that you reconsider. Again, I'll ask you perhaps another issue. Are you aware that Canada imposed special economic measures against Russia today in 2022?
For the reasons already given, I will not be answering this question.
Are you aware in 2023 that further sanctions were imposed on Russia's today's parent company, for example? And are you aware that the Russian Tenet Media company, the parent company, and the head of the International Department of Russia today is also sanctioned by the Canadian government?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
All right. Ms. Chen, did you ever receive payment prior to the war in Ukraine from Russia today for services rendered?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
In the indictment, it outlines that you wrote 25 opinion articles for Russia today. Can you confirm that?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
This indictment, Ms. Chen, is quite serious in that it purports, or it alleges that you falsely or you misled commentators to your company, Tenet Media, that were being paid by Russian agents, in essence. Can you comment on that?
For the reasons already given, I have no
Oh
comment.
my
You
God,
can understand
Lauren.
that the Public Safety and National Security Committee of Canada is incredibly
feel so bad
concerned
for
that
her.
if there's a Canadian citizen such as yourself receiving, well, according to the indictment, $10 million, and falsely misleading commentators of your platform or where that money is coming from, And the purpose of that commentary is to propagate Russian government positions that deliberately undermine the West. Do you have any concerns of that, of the moral authority of that?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Mr. Chair, this is obviously quite frustrating. Ms. Chen has been called for this committee, and the allegations are incredibly serious, that she took $10 million for her company from Russian agents, withheld the source of that funding to the commentators that she hired for Tenet Media, with the purpose to proliferate Russian propaganda, which, as we know very well in this committee, Russia is an adversary to Canada, looking to deliberately undermine this country, looking to see Canada weaken and fail. And the idea that a fellow Canadian, Ms. Chen, would take large amounts of money to undermine the Canadian interests, I take great personal and moral issue with that. Do you?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Ms. Chen, do you have anything else that you'd wish to say to this committee about these allegations?
Go fuck yourselves.
As previously mentioned, for the reasons outlined in my opening statement, I have no comment.
Ms. Chen, I'll just underline again that this is a committee of Parliament of Canada. These institutions are incredibly old, ancient, and protect our democracy. You've been summoned here today to answer questions to an incredibly important issue area, to say the least. In fact, this committee has identified for a number of months and years that Russian misinformation and disinformation presents an incredible threat to the West, that the purpose of that propaganda is to sow division in this country, to undermine our own interests, to say nothing for the Ukrainian individuals who have fled
This
the war in
idea of
Ukraine to
sowing
come to Canada
division,
for safety.
it's like,
There are thousands
people
of them
thought
in
for
Manitoba.
themselves, and
To say
we
nothing
didn't
of
like
the
what they
impact
thought.
that spreading Russian propaganda in Canada and withholding that is in fact Russian propaganda has on those individuals in Canada at large. Do you have any comment of the impact of information that Tenet Media shared on Ukrainian Canadians and Ukrainians that have fled Ukraine to come to Canada? Any thoughts on how your efforts or alleged efforts have impacted those individuals?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Mr. Chair, I think I'm out of time, but again, I'd just like to register that Ms. Chen, unfortunately, I feel is making a farce of this committee, and it's deeply, deeply disappointing.
Thank you, Ms. Dancho. We'll go now to Mr. Moff for 6 minutes, please.
Thank you, Chair. And I want to echo Ms. Dancho's frustration at the lack of response to the questions thus far in the committee. There are lots of issues that parties in this House of Commons disagree on. On this one, as parliamentarians, as representatives of this country, I'm deeply, deeply disturbed that a witness would come before this committee, having been summoned, which is something that's quite rare to have to do in order to get a witness to appear, and then refuses to answer questions. Questions that are extremely important to Canadians. We are the Public Safety and National Security Committee, and Canadians are, as you know, we're studying Russian disinformation, and I will tell you that when we had Facebook here and we found out that your posts continue to live on social media platforms like Rumble, and then as a result on Facebook, so that disinformation funded by the Russian government continues to infiltrate Canadians is extremely, extremely disturbing, and it's frustrating for you to be sitting here today in front of us and not answering our questions. So I'm going to try myself. Have you been contacted by Canadian or American law enforcement about your role in the Russian-run Tenet Media operations, given the U.S. indictment?
As I explained in my opening statement, I have no comment.
Did you portray Edward Gregorian, a fictional Brussels-born businessman, as the private investor behind the funding that would allow Commentator 1 and Commentator 2, that's listed in the indictment, to produce videos using their own names and leveraging their existing audiences for license and publication by your company?
As I explained in my opening statement, I have no comment.
I'm echoing Ms. Dancho's frustration at this lack of recognition of Parliament and parliamentarians sitting around this table representing Canadians from coast to coast to coast. After Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, RT was sanctioned, dropped by distributors, and ultimately forced to cease formal operations in the United States, Canada, the UK, and the EU. In response, RT created, in the words of its editor-in-chief, quote, an entire empire of covert projects, end quote, designed to shape public opinion in Western audiences. Why did you choose to be part of one of these covert projects?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Are you aware that your talking points parrot the Russian government's disinformation campaigns?
What? Which talking
For the reasons
points?
already given, I have no comment.
I'll just emphasize that these are
Lauren
talking
Chen's
points that
talking
are
points
meant
about
to
Ben
undermine
Shapiro.
Western democracies.
And Andrew
For the reasons
Klavan
already given, I have no comment.
echo the Russian government. What talking points?
I'm going to share my time with Ms. O'Connell. I'll pass it over to you, Ms. O'Connell.
Mr. Chair, given the lack of response, I move that the committee ask the witness be compelled to respond to our questions.
They're going to put her in contempt?
Thank you.
Is Lauren Chen going to go to jail
Is it
today? I hope not.
Is it the will of the committee to agree that the question, that the witness must answer the questions?
Mr. Chair, I just have a question here. I'm unfamiliar with this. Perhaps the clerk or others can outline, just outline this in a bit further detail. What powers do we have to do that?
What powers do we have
My
to make her
understanding
talk?
is in order for this matter to be reported to the House and the witness brought before the bar of the chamber, the testimony, the committee must demand a response, an answer to the questions. If she then fails, then we have an option to take it back to the House for further action. If you like, we could suspend for a couple of minutes and have a conversation. No?
Okay.
Okay.
I just want to be clear that that is what the avenue we're pursuing. Okay.
Yes.
Understood.
Okay. So is it the will of the committee that the witness be compelled to answer the question? The questions? Yes?
Literally anything?
All the questions, okay. And I see agreement with the committee, and it is so found. So we will continue with Ms. O'Connell. You have 1 minute left.
I'll give my time back to Ms. Danmoff.
Thank you, Chair. And Ms. Chen, I just want to ask you, what advice did you provide to the Russians about what content would most likely be successful in deepening divisions and inflaming tension in both America and Canadian society?
As I explained in my opening statement, at this time, I have no comment. However, following the closure of the American investigation into this issue, I would be willing to come back to testify before this committee.
Oh, now she's saying she would come back after the American investigation.
So
she's
you're
like,
still
I'll talk to
refusing
you guys.
answer our
I'm not going to do it
however.
today. That's actually a good
As
answer.
mentioned in my opening statement, at this time, I have no comment.
How much time have I got left, Chair?
You're over, but we also took time out for the vote, so you could go another 30 seconds, I think.
Ms. Chen, do you have concerns that content that you created that has been funded by Russia through RT continues to be available to Canadians on social media?
No.
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
These people want to control everything.
This is incredibly frustrating, Chair, especially given the
Do you
motion
have
that we just
concerns
passed.
that content
It's
is
not often we
available?
get unanimity around this table, and we certainly do right now. So I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Moff. On y va maintenant, Madame Michaud.
We'll proceed with Ms. Michaud. The floor is yours. 6 minutes, please.
Ooh,
thank you very much,
French,
Mr.
s'il vous plaît.
Chairperson.
Bonjour.
And indeed, it is quite concerning to see the state of affairs in which we find ourselves today. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the first time I've found myself in this situation where a witness agrees to appear before a committee of the House of Commons but refuses to answer parliamentarians' questions. even though we sent invitations on several occasions, and we just adopted a unanimous motion compelling the witness to respond. Now, I saw what transpired over the previous minutes with my colleagues who asked very pertinent and good questions. This is an extremely serious issue of great import. We decided to study the issue of Russian disinformation propagated in Canada, and Ms. Chen's name was one of the very first that appeared on the list in the motion vis-à-vis what occurred. Now, I understand that the questions to do with the case at court, perhaps Ms. Chen is not as comfortable responding to them, but let me start with a straightforward question. Can you confirm that your name is indeed Ms. Lauren Chen, please, or Laura Chen? Which is it, please?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
That's not actually her real name. It's not her real last name.
Well, could you please indicate your citizenship? I understand that you're Canadian, but you live in the United States. Could you please confirm your citizenship?
Lauren could get deported, honestly.
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
I won't continue in that vein for minutes at a time. I'll allow the witness one last opportunity to explain what occurred to the before this investigation opened and the backdrop of all of this. If you could please explain what led to this U.S. investigation against you, it would be highly appreciated.
As I have explained in my opening statement, at this time, I have no comment.
Well, Mr. Chairperson, in that case, I'll hand the floor back to you. Thank you.
Merci, Madame. We go now to Mr. McGregor for 6 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Chen, with Tenet Media, when you and your husband were operating the company, can you describe to the committee what kind of internal processes you had in terms of verifying the information that you received and published? Like, did you abide by any standard journalistic practices, code of ethics? Is that something that you can tell this committee about? Like, did you have an internal document that you used to guide your operations and those of your employees?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Ms. Chen, did you have any internal processes with respect to the financial controls of your company? What kind of measures or protections did you have in place with, a chief financial officer, with legal counsel to verify that any funding you did receive or contracts for services, how did you internally verify that the people paying you were legitimate and did not have ulterior motives at play?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Ms. Chen, are you aware that one of Russia's overarching objectives right now and for several years has been to sow discontent and distrust in Canadian society?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Lauren Chen worked in America with American commentators.
Your company was aiding in objectives that were planned, plotted, and executed in the Kremlin?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Ms. Chen, in your opening statement, you referenced the fears that you have with respect to being liable in United States criminal proceedings. Are you aware of parliamentary privilege and the protection that extends to witnesses who appear before a committee?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Ms. Chen, are you aware that where you find yourself right now before a parliamentary committee of the House of Commons of the Parliament of Canada, are you aware of how serious this situation is for you right now?
For the reasons already given in my opening statement, at this time, I have no comment.
Ms. Chen, are you aware that this committee can take further actions and that you could perhaps find yourself before the bar of the House of Commons, not before a committee, but before the entire chamber itself? Are you aware that this could escalate for you if you remain uncooperative?
As I have explained in my opening statement, this time I have no comment.
Well, Mr. Chair, I think it's quite obvious that we have an uncooperative witness. for such an important subject matter, I think, Canadians can see the witness is committed to remaining obstructive and is not going to cooperate with this committee. I'll cede my time back to you, but I think this committee as a whole has to start considering next steps of referring this to the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. McGregor. We'll go now to Mr. Lloyd for 5 minutes. I'm sorry, Mr. Motz for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Everyone
Chair.
needs to pray for Lauren, and I don't want to hear anyone insulting Lauren in my chat. You have feelings about it, you can keep it to yourself.
About not only the
I'll be
frustration,
banning anyone who makes
but
fucking emotional
the
outbursts about
seriousness
her, I
with which
swear.
we are meeting today and discussing an issue that has impact on our democracy, and that
It's so disingenuous what they're doing.
the allegations
It's
that a
so
Canadian would
disingenuous.
further
Lauren Chen was living in America, working with
foreign
American
hostile state
commentators,
actors
doing commentary on American politics.
destabilize our
This whole
democracy,
thing is disingenuous.
is troubling, to say the very, very least. Now, further to some of my colleagues' questions, I have a couple for you as well, Ms. Chen. Your title, whether it's self-titled or not, is a social media influencer. Who or what do you actually and exactly influence?
For the reasons already given in my opening statement concerning the ongoing investigation in the United States, where Canadian parliamentary privilege does not apply, I have no comment at this time.
Ms. Chen, what factors influenced you to collude with the Russians?
Collude
For the reasons
with the
already
Russians.
given, I have no comment.
What was your end goal, Ms. Chen, to accept money from Russia in exchange for you sharing disinformation?
What was disinformation?
In a Canadian and American audience.
What disinformation?
For the reasons already given.
She gave her opinion on the internet. Oh my God, these people
Do you
suck.
believe that the goals of
These
your
people
handlers,
suck so. Oh
the
my
Russian agents,
God.
do you think those goals were accomplished and what you're able to, the disinformation you're able to get out? Do you believe that you
And
reached
conservative media is not going to cover this at all,
influence
even though this could
enough
happen
to
to
change
any of them.
Canadians' perception on Ukraine?
This could
and the
happen to
conflict in
anyone
general?
on the right,
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
and probably will.
Well, Chair, it's obvious again that this witness, under guise of self-protection, certainly is not concerned about the protection of Canada or Canadians.
She's not
And I will,
concerned about the
cede my
protection
time
of
back to you,
Canada.
Chair.
She was doing American
Thank you, Mr.
commentary.
Motz. We go now to Ms. O'Connell for 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Chair.
Wow.
Were you aware of sanctions that, following up on Ms. Dancho's questions, are you aware of sanction regimes in Canada and the United States?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Did you ever seek legal advice on sanction regimes and what penalties might be for accepting money from a sanctioned entity?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
On February 16th, 2022, you produced an op-ed in reference to a Russian war. However, the Russian invasion of Ukraine occurred on February 24th, 2022. Did you receive speaking notes or those lines to produce that op-ed in advance of a Russian invasion in Ukraine?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
How much money did you or your company receive from Russia or Russian agents?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Thanks, Nick. I agree.
Were you aware that the money your company was receiving was from Russia or Russian agents?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Mr. Chair, I find it interesting. I didn't know who Ms. Chen was in advance of the U.S. indictment.
Lauren
Some
was
of
so
these kind of
effective that no one knew
conspiracy
who she
theorist
was.
peddling accounts tend to be a dime a dozen. The real interesting factor, though, is who's paying for some of this disinformation. The witness has actually attacked trans kids, US LGBT community, women, men who stand up for women's equality,
Oh my
she
God,
suggested
this
are on their
bitch.
periods and should eat a tub of ice cream. Doesn't seem to care about the ramifications of comments like this posted on the internet, attacking Ukrainians, Ukrainian sovereignty, and basically saying whatever she feels like without the consideration
She's allowed to.
of implications to those people she attacks.
She doesn't fucking report
I
to
find
you.
it quite interesting that now, as she has an opportunity
Exactly.
to defend some
Aha.
of these comments, perhaps it's the
Aha.
single lady's cat that's got her tongue. Because she seems to be very opinionated when it comes to views that she wants to spew, but not how she's making money on spreading those views and getting those likes.
What an evil
So
bitch.
I think it is pretty interesting that those who believe in freedom until they face
How dare
consequences
Lauren Chen have an
for their own
opinion on the
actions,
internet?
refuse to take
Yeah, it's
responsibility
a kangaroo court is
for
what we're
those
watching right now.
actions, and for not recognizing laws that exist in Canada and the U.S.
This could
regarding
happen
sanctions.
to any conservative
And
commentator,
that
guys.
it's okay
What
if
they're
an
doing could happen to
individual
anyone.
wants to make money off
Russian
of,
money or not.
you know, sanctioned entities, but then when it comes time to answer for those things, doesn't seem to not be able to find words to speak. I find it incredibly disappointing, but also not surprised, if I'm being completely honest. So I'll give you, Ms. Chen, one last question or one last opportunity. How much money did you or your company receive from the Russian government, a Russian entity, a Russian sanctioned entity, to promote and spread the materials that you spread online?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Stay strong, Lauren. Fuck
Thank
that
you, Chair.
bitch.
I'll cede my time back.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connell. On y va maintenant, Madame Michaud. Allez-y.
Ms. Michaud, the floor is yours. 2.5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. In light of the fact that the witness is refusing to answer our questions, I have no further questions myself to ask of her.
Merci. We go now to Mr. McGregor. 2.5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In light of the witness's continued refusal to answer questions of a House of Commons standing committee, I believe it's time for me to move a motion that would authorize you as our chair to refer this back to the House of Commons, clearly indicating that we have a witness that is in contempt. Being in contempt of Parliament means that she is willfully obstructing our work into a very serious matter. We've given her multiple opportunities to do so. She was warned of the consequences that this could be escalated. Given that committees by themselves can't take action, I do believe that this is a matter that needs to be referred back to the House, and we can ask the Speaker to take the appropriate actions with Ms. Chen's continued obstruction.
Right. You have the motion to move at this time?
I'm just coming up with it orally, but I would move that this committee authorize the chair.
Excuse me, the clerk is for sending a sample motion to the committee that you may consider. So we'll suspend briefly and
Wow.
consider that. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
Well, we'll obviously keep streaming, but that last woman, can we go back and watch that again?
She feels like.
Hang on, let's watch that again.
I find it interesting. I didn't know who Ms. Chen was in advance of the U.S. indictment. Some of these kind of conspiracy theorist peddling accounts tend to be a dime a dozen. The real interesting factor, though, is who's paying for some of this disinformation. The witness has actually attacked trans kids, 2S LGBT community, women, men who stand up for women's equality, she suggested, are on their periods and should eat a tub of ice cream. Doesn't seem to care about the ramifications of comments like this posted on the internet, attacking Ukrainians, Ukrainian sovereignty, and basically saying whatever she feels like without the consideration of implications to those people she attacks. I find it quite interesting that now, as she has an opportunity to defend some of these comments, perhaps it's the single lady's cat that's got her tongue. Because she seems to be
This
very
woman's obviously
opinionated
single.
when it comes to views that she wants to spew, but not how she's making money on spreading those views and getting those likes. So I think it is pretty interesting that those who believe in freedom until they face consequences for their own action.
Listen, we're gonna go back up to front now because that's pretty much the end of that, and we're gonna wait for them to come back, guys. But listen, hey, 2 ladies, 5 gifted memberships. Who got a gifted membership today? We got Sam, we got Gayla, we got Termite, got a gifted membership. We've got Magnetic, and we've got RM. Congratulations to everyone who got a gifted membership today. No, everyone doesn't hate her. Wrong. Fake news. Fake news. I don't hate her. Most of the people in my chat don't hate her. So no, not everyone hates her. Here's the thing. Conservative media threw Lauren Chen under the bus immediately. Immediately upon this indictment being released, and Lauren Chen wasn't even one of the people indicted. Not only was Lauren Chen not indicted, Lauren Chen was never found guilty of anything, and the indictment came from Merrick Garland and the Biden Justice Department. And even still, conservative media threw Lauren Chen under the bus immediately because she was questioning Israel and she was supporting Nick Fuentes. She committed the 2 cardinal sins that are going to get you blacklisted on conservative media. And no one questioned it and no one said anything about it. And now what's happening? You might not agree with Lauren Chen. Again, my position is, you know what, do I like that she took foreign money? Nah, not really. That's probably not a good thing. But if Lauren Chen had taken money from the Israeli government, this wouldn't even be happening. So it's not even about taking foreign money. It's about which foreign money she took. And even more than it being about which foreign money she took, it's about what was she saying that she is not allowed to say when you're in conservative media. That's really what it is. It probably wasn't even about Russia, if we're honest about it. It was about Lauren Chen was questioning Israel and cozying up with Nick Fuentes. That's what this is about. And now look what's happening. Lauren Chen gets dragged in front of Canadian Parliament and refuses to answer questions, which is probably the right thing to do. I'm not a lawyer, but it's probably the right thing to do. And then gets asked these questions that make it completely obvious that this is a kangaroo court that was just out to destroy her. Lauren Chen was not doing commentary on Canada. Lauren Chen was a Canadian living in America who was working with American commentators to do commentary on America. It is completely disingenuous to say that Lauren Chen was spreading Russian disinformation about Canada and undermining Canada and sowing division in Canada when Lauren Chen's work was focused on American politics. Any conservative commentator can find themselves in the position Lauren Chen's in. Because you know what? It doesn't actually require taking foreign money to be in this position. It requires them setting you up for something, or even not even setting you up for something, accusing you of something. Lauren Chen hasn't been indicted on anything. W. Lauren, all politicians are crooks. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way about that. And there's not going to be a single voice in conservative media that speaks up for her. And I'm probably going to be the only person actually covering this. There's not going to be a single voice in conservative media that speaks up for her, getting dragged in front of a kangaroo court. And this is why I have no consideration for these people at all. This is why right here. Because none of them are intellectually honest. They will throw you under the bus in a second. Yeah. They're cowards. They're absolute cowards. Is Steven Crowder still a Canadian citizen? Oh, guess what? This can happen to Steven Crowder in a heartbeat. Is Steven Crowder going to speak up and say anything about this? Hey, Gayla, thank you for the road trip cash. I appreciate it. And thank you for your order in the store, Gayla, too. I saw that. All right, we're back.
So I call this meeting back to order. Mr. McGregor, I believe you have a motion that you wish to move.
Yeah, just before I move that motion, Mr. Chair, I just want to give Mr. Erskine Smith a quick minute because he had a question that he wanted to ask the witness, and then he's agreed to send it back to me, and I will move the motion.
Fair enough. Mr. Erskine Smith, please. 1 minute.
Thanks very much. Ms. Chen, obviously you aren't answering questions here, so I'll start with a really easy one. Is Russia a foreign adversary to Canada in your view?
For the reasons already given at this time, I have no comment.
You've previously said, and I quote, "I don't believe in democracy." Is that still your view?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
My last question, your brand of politics tends to label pretty near everyone that opposes your views as traitors. So what would you call someone who accepts $10 million from a foreign adversary to run a covert propaganda operation on behalf of that foreign adversary? What would you call that person?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Well, I will answer it then. You would call that person a traitor. The floor is yours.
Mr. McGregor, go ahead.
Unbelievable.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in light of the fact that Ms. Chen has been uncooperative and refuses to answer questions of this standing committee of the House of Commons, I move the following motion. That the committee instruct the clerk and analysts to prepare a report to the House, which the chair shall table forthwith, outlining the potential breach of privilege concerning Laura Chen's refusal to answer questions of the committee.
It's not even her name.
Is there any debate? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Very well. I believe Ms. Demoff has a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I had previously given notice of motion on this study that the committee summon Liam Donovan and
That's her
Lauren
husband.
Southern to testify on
Lauren
their own
Southern!
for no less than 2 hours on their participation in Russian-backed interference and far-right disinformation campaigns intended to manipulate the Canadian public, and that they appear before Friday, November, I'm going to change that date, Chair. Sorry. Oh, no, Friday, November 29th, 2024.
Thank you. Any discussion on this motion? Ms. Tancho, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a comment that I think we can anticipate that there may be more of the same behavior from anyone else coming forward named by Ms. Damoff. So I would ask that in the event that happen, that perhaps we should have something that we can work on in addition, because if this committee is going to do this, if we wrap this up now, I don't know if we're going to, but again, this is the Public Safety National Security Committee of Canada. We've wasted now quite a while with someone who refuses to answer our questions. We have a number of studies that are on the verge of being complete, Mr. Chair, so I just ask that that we anticipate that more of this may occur, that we have a plan B so that we can get to work, that we're not wasting time.
This is crazy.
All right.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Therefore, call a question. All in favor of Ms. Demoff's motion? Unanimously carried. Thank you very much. Ms. O'Connell.
Thank you. I would like to move a motion that the committee summon Mayor Patrick Brown to testify on their own for no less than 2 hours on the study of Indian interference, and that they appear
What
before...
happens? Can she go to jail?
Sorry, let me just find a date, given that...
Yeah, for real.
given that we have 2 studies on the go. I would say before December 10th, 2024.
Okay. Any discussion? Ms. Dancho?
I'm just unclear, was this motion provided with adequate notice? Just not germane to the Russia's topic, it's the India one, is that correct, or am I misunderstanding that?
It's not, but we do have an ongoing discussion. I guess, is it the will of the committee to entertain this motion at this time? Recorded vote, yes, go ahead.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Lloyd, on a point of order.
I believe it would require unanimous consent to move a motion that is, like, unless you declare that it's in order, Mr. Chair. But, I mean, this motion is not related to the study that we're studying today. And I just think that you would require unanimous consent to do that because that's the proper way that this committee functions.
The clerk advises me that you're correct, that we do need unanimous consent for this.
And a recorded vote.
Okay. So we don't have unanimous consent. So I'll take that as notice of that motion.
Fair enough, thank you.
Okay. Any further
Yeah,
business?
just a follow-up.
Ms. Dacho?
Am I to take that Mr. Brown has refused to attend and that's why he needs to be summoned? Just not clear, we weren't informed of that.
He has refused to attend given meetings. I'm not sure whether that is, whether there might be others, but this way once that motion is moved, if it passes, that will be another summons. So, okay, any further business before this House, or before this chamber, whatever we are?
Mr. Chair, yes.
Ms. Dancho.
I'm not sure if we're done with Ms. Chen, but we could probably release her and we can discuss a few other matters. But it's up to you. I would like to ask about the calendar and forthcoming meetings and the scheduling of it.
Yes, let's release Lauren Chen.
Is it the will of the committee to release Ms. Chen? Yes? Ms. Chen, you may withdraw if you wish.
Sweet.
You will hear no doubt from the House in due course.
Yes. Thank you. I have a question about the upcoming meetings, Mr. Chair. May I ask it?
I'm sorry?
I have a question about the upcoming meetings. May I
I
ask?
think we're done.
So the next meeting is
Okay.
on
Sounds like we're
Thursday,
done.
and
They have released Lauren Chen. This is the moment that conservative media has been waiting for years. Where one of them is dragged in front of a governmental hearing and basically accused of spreading disinformation and sowing dissent just for expressing an opinion on the internet. Will there be any outcry over what just happened to Lauren Chen today? No. There won't be. Because Lauren Chen broke the golden rule in conservative politics. Thou shall not question Israel. And because Lauren Chen questioned Israel, and because Lauren Chen was a little bit too friendly with Nick Fuentes, no one in conservative media is going to talk about this. No one's going to defend her. No one's going to stick up for her. If anything, they're going to side with the Canadian government. They've already sided with the Biden administration. Really think about this. Conservative media sided with the Biden administration against Lauren Chen because Lauren Chen questioned Israel. It'll be really interesting to see if anyone else reacts to this today. It'll be really interesting to see if anyone else covers it today. And I'll be keeping an eye on this, and I know you guys will too. And and we'll see what they basically voted to. Didn't they vote to subpoena Lauren Chen's husband? That's Liam Lauren Southern. Lauren Chen worked at The Blaze. Lauren Chen worked with Turning Point USA. She was summarily dismissed from all of them just based on an accusation. Oh, the Blaze fired her immediately based on an accusation. Turning Point USA fired her immediately based on an accusation from the Biden Justice Department. That's where Glenn Beck is. Glenn Beck, earlier this year, wrote a letter to Israel begging for citizenship from Israel. I doubt Tim Pool's going to have anything to say about this because Tim Pool's pissed off at Lauren Chen. And this is how conservative media really works, guys. It's not about truth. It's not about the Constitution. It's not about free speech. It's not about individual liberties. It's about Israel and who we're friends with and who we're not friends with and who's following the talking points and who's not following the talking points and who's doing what they're told and who's not doing what they're told. This is the reality of conservative media. And I wish they were better. And I'm sorry for anyone that's been taken in and snowed by them. I got taken in and snowed by them in 2020. I learned a lot from that experience. But they expose themselves on days like this. They expose themselves. Anyway, guys, that is all I'm going to have. We were originally supposed to go for another hour, but don't fret because who's ready for election night? I'm not. But we are going to be starting to stream around 7:30, 8 o'clock tonight. As a reminder, I will not be doing my typical 5 p.m. stream because it is my wedding anniversary today. And I will be going out for an early dinner with my husband of 13 years. And we're going to go have dinner and have a little date before I have to spend all night streaming the election. So I will be getting started streaming around 7:30, 8 p.m. tonight. And I'm going to go run some errands. I'm going to go vote. I'm voting for Nick Fuentes for president. I'm not joking about that. I actually am. And I'm going to go do some errands, and I will be back a little bit later, and I will see you guys then. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you as the show gets started a little bit later. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you soon. Bye.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.